Pleasant good morning to one and all you students of Speaking Out, Exposing Corruption and Incompetence. Welcome to today's episode. Today is Wednesday, the 12th day of February 2025. Welcome to the midweek episode of Speaking Out, Exposing Corruption and Incompetence. Welcome. As you come on, we always encourage you to share the live. We had lots of students in the schoolyard, but some regulars might not be on at this time. More and more new people are coming on. So share the live, let them know that we're on. Give us a thumbs up. I always encourage you to subscribe to the channel on YouTube. And once you do that, there's a little bell notification button. You hit that button and you are going to get notification when the program goes live. If you are a Facebooker, just follow the page. Same name, Speaking Out, Exposing Corruption, Incompetence. Follow it and you would get notifications whenever the program goes live or whenever anything is posted on the program. I make several posts and you're going to get that. So share the live. Welcome. My co-host, my colleague, my fellow teacher, Mr. Conway CC, is already in the studio. He's raring to go, as he usually is. And we are going to come to you and bring you some very, very interesting information again today. I don't think we have disappointed you thus far, and we don't intend to disappoint you. We are going to do the research. We're going to bring you the information. All we ask now of you is to share the live and to give us a thumbs up to show your appreciation. And we are going to, usual format, we're going to do the roll call, then we're going to go into announcement. But not today, Wednesday, the 12th day of February. February is almost halfway already. Another great day that the Lord has made. Let's rejoice and be glad in it. Let's give praise and thanks for being in the land of the living. It's a privilege to have been able to see this new day. So welcome one and all. The program was scheduled this morning, just something at a minute before 7. And as to be expected now, by the time I said schedule, students were already in the schoolyard, waiting anxiously to get the credible, valuable information. Lots of students poured in. 7, just before 7 o'clock, 1 minute after 7 or so. Many students. I don't know how they do it, but apparently they're set. So as soon as the program is scheduled, obviously they have subscribed and they get the notification and they're able to come in immediately. One of the students asked a question, I think it was our last program or sometime recently. They want to know the name of the theme song. People just love the bouncy nature of that song. I think the name of the song is Garisol, Garisol. Garisol is the name. I'm not sure who the artist is, but Garisol is the name of that theme song for those who have been asking. That's it. Very bouncy. Get you in the mood to sit back and relax and to take in this very informative program. I am not saying so because it is our program. That is what you, the students, have been saying. So yes, we have lots and lots to tell you this morning. So again, I encourage you to share, and give the thumbs up. But thumbs up sometimes lag behind. Because already we have over 500 students in the schoolyard, and well, we get about 28 thumbs up. So do your thing, and we will do ours. You do your thing, and your thing is to be in the classroom, to share the live, and to give us our recognition. And that is just a thumbs up. It doesn't ask much of you at this time. So in terms of the roll call, first in this morning, Tessa is here again, number 1, at 6:59. Bart came in at the same time. And then at 7 o'clock, it was the Kamaruk man, Anthony Bradshaw from Petersall, 11032. Barlett from the Hills, my squad mate, Carlton, 9430. Evelyn was here very early. Wayne, Aubrey is here, 1953 from Canada. Gibbo is here, out of the UK. We had Wayne, all at 7. Peter, Linden, Brian, Buxton, BX came in. Marcia, Marlon, they all came at 7. And shortly after, we had Joan, Winston, and Winston is from California. Magnell, Pastor Smith is here, 9339. Malcolm, Rawl, 11752. Charlene, 15-4 to 5. Courtney, then Vibort at 7:02. Charles came back and he said to ask us have a wonderful and blessed day. Derek, Ezzy, Denise, still in GT, Valerie, Dexter, then we had Aubrey, Marva, Pauline, Compton, Orin from the UK, Magnell, Hazel, Floyd, 1010688. Floyd, tap in is here. Sandra, Diane, then Hazel, Earl, then it was Ainsworth, 12505 Mason, Wayne, Felicia, Claire, and Wayne says his number was 15734. Claire, Desiree from Georgia, Rhonda, Jacko, also from Georgia. Then it's Clive from the UK, 12789. Lynette from the UK. Then it was Tuana, John, Princess Earl, 6123 from Lamar Springs. Fergus, Lyndon, Marcus, Queenie from Brooklyn, Bonita, Salima, 17488, Claremont, Franklin Keith from Melanie Damashana, Clifton from Paris is here, Sean from New York, upstate New York, Paulette, Michael from Mbai Madai, Carlisle, Carl, squadmate 9414 from Arizona, Machu, Barbara, Pito, 8152, Brenda, then it was Terrence and Terrence Young from Canada, 9795. Umi is here. Isabella, Maury is here with us. Dion, Kevin, 12729, retired assistant commissioner is here. Sagi, 9602 is here with us. Taylor, 9556, my squad mate is here. Diane, Moses, Mary, Karen, Aileen enjoying the cricket, I'm sure. Abera, Carl, 12352 is here with us. Heather, Maxwell, Beaton, 11704, Devian, Winston, Cecile, Ulrich, 8385, Jakey, Court, Emerson, Amanda, Smitty, 7464, Smitty is here. Leon, V. John, Clay, Dwayne, Roxanne, Ronald, Siobhan, Marlon, Denise, the secretary, Rhonda from Denhamstel, Lorraine, Sandrine Baird, Grace is here, Carlisle, Sherwin, Patricia Graves Zandi, she's from New Jersey, Sherwin, then it was David, Norbert, Harold, David, another David is here, Bray, Annette, Pamela, West Dam in the house, Audrey, you're probably enjoying this thing, Audrey. You're proper enjoying your CB 261. Sean is here. Vibot from Vibot from in the East Bank, in the Craig area, I think. Albert 0892 is here. Then it was the Angel came in to see us. Ovid 4126 Brower is here with us. George Rayburn is here. Nigel, Phil, Dorette. Then it was George, Clarence, Doreen, my squad mate, W349, Everett, K, Michael, McGarvey, good to see you in class today. Russ, Henrik, then it was Deborah, then Clay, Junior, 12538, Delan, Roy, good to see you back in class, upstate New York. Mark, 7854, who just had a birth anniversary. Andre, Boo Alexander is here with us today. Ezra, Kerry, who is back in Maryland, complaining about the cold. He spent a whole ton of time in Guyana, soak up all the nice weather. Now he's back in the cold and he's complaining. Terrence, 9135 from California is here with us. Wendy, John, and John is from Clarksville, Tennessee. Vernon, Connolly, Danny, 9731, Glendis, Lester, Ivor, Andre, Floyd, Joseph Rastaman is here with us. Then then it says Anthony, Lennox, Mali, Benjamin, 8948, Benjamin, Paulette, then Raheem, Trevor, R. Crawford, 11256, he says his number was. Audrey, Bob is here. Gladwin, Anthony, Dion, John, Cranston, 515837, May, Ann, Nicola is here. Lyndon, Cornbread, my friend. Cedric, 8219. Mandela, Forbes, Wayne Alonzo, 17288 is here. Charles, then it was Leslyn, Gordon, 12472. Kwame, Errol, then it was Aubrey, welcome. And those were the people in the schoolyard. And when we went live, Abu is here. Gordon, Lennox, Carlton, Popo, always. Commissioner Cole is here. Welcome. Joan, Colvis, Lennox, and the list goes on. Then you have Colvis again. Then it was Joan, and the list goes on and on. Doreen is here. So welcome, welcome, one and all. Welcome. Sit back, relax. We have a lot to tell you this morning. A lot to tell you. For the announcements, we told you about the death of Terrence Allen, retired assistant superintendent. Well, the information is, I did mention it on Monday, that he'll be buried on Saturday. But we have some additional information to say that the service will be at St. Mark's Scots Church, Sanlitong, West Bank, Demerara. And a wake will be held on Friday the 14th at his nephew's residence in the same Sanlitong. So that is the funeral arrangement for retired assistant superintendent, the late retired assistant superintendent, Terrence Allen, 8756. And then I learned recently of the death of the first president of Namibia, Sam Nujoma. I saw a letter from our former president, Ramatar, in respect to the Sam Nujuma's death. I remember Sam Nujoma very well. For those of you who may remember, when Namibia was getting independence from South Africa, the United Nations put together what they call a Transition Assistance Group, UNTAG, United Nations Transition Assistance Group. And I had the privilege of leading the Guyana contingent, a contingent of 30, to that peacekeeping mission. Other Caribbean countries that participated included Barbados and Jamaica. We spent almost a year there. So when Namibia got independence in 1990, we were there. As a matter of fact, I was at the independence celebration. And then we were repatriated sometime, I think it was April of 1990. And then a few years after that, Sam Nujoma visited Guyana. And I and other members of that contingent were invited to State House, where there was a reception for the president of Namibia, Sam Nujoma. And I remember when I was introduced to him, I greeted him in his native language, and he was surprised. Then I said, yes, I spent some time in your country during independence. And we had a nice little conversation, not in their language, but in English. And I remember I have a photograph somewhere with that, myself, President Jagan, President Nujoma, and Clement Roy in the background looking on. I have that picture. I have that photograph somewhere. So yeah, Mr. Nujoma passed away. I think they said he was 93. One of the freedom fighters, you know. When we went there, both of us were sent to the north. Ovambo land, I think it was. We sent to the north where the war had been fought. And up north is just next to the border with Angola. And when we got there, I'm not afraid or ashamed to tell you. You see, in the night, it was terrifying when you hear all the machine guns and all the bombs and so on at the border, Angola border. But in the night, it sounded so close that we were terrified. Then eventually get accustomed to it. And then later, I rotated to the capital, Windhoek. So yes, Sam Nujoma has passed on. For the happier announcements, birthday greetings today go out to Woman Superintendent Sonia Herbert. You know, she is I think she's in charge of what they call the academy there. We told you before, she went to Russia and trained in forensic science for like about 5 years. And since she came back, she has not been put in that forensic science field. She is now, I think, the head of the police academy. Although also today, retired woman Inspector Corinne Pitt. Corinne, my friend, Corinne is celebrating a birthday today. Also celebrating today is former member Elise Caesar Harris. She is normally on the live. Elise is celebrating a birth anniversary today. A student who is on the live too is celebrating, Vivian Pollard. I saw him post something to say that he and his wife are looking in periodically. And also, a good friend of mine is celebrating. He don't be on the live, but I'm sure he follows afterward. Sigmund Douglas, shooting mate. He tells people every time he introduces me to anyone, he introduced me as his coach. I coach him in rifle shooting, and he never failed to introduce me as his coach. This is Mr. Paul Slow, my coach. He always, he proud of me being his coach. Yeah, so all of those persons are celebrated today. And then we have some birthdays coming up shortly. Kevin Adonis, who is on the program, Assistant Commissioner retired. Kevin Adonis, he's celebrating on the 14th. We have retired Assistant Commissioner as well, Ivla Whitaker, our co-defendant, co-accused. He's celebrating on the 15th. Retired Woman Assistant Commissioner Carol Primo, she's also celebrating on the 15th. We have retired woman Deputy Superintendent Amanda Harmonstein. She's also celebrating on the 15th. So happy birthday to those who are celebrating today or birth anniversary. You know what it is? We say birthday in Guyana, but some people will tell you it's only one birthday. You get like the day you're born, and the year after that is birth date, which is correct. Linguistically speaking, that's correct. But birth date or birth anniversary, however you want to style it. So congratulations to all those who are celebrating today, who's celebrating soon, and who celebrated recently. Congratulations to you all. Congratulations. Let me bring in Mr. Conway, and then we are going to move on. CC, good morning and welcome.
Morning. Thank you. Happy to be in the land of the living to do God's work. Birthday greetings to all those persons that you mentioned, uh, plus our partner Ivla Whitaker. I think he's going to celebrate his birthday also. Now, we miss out on birthday of two of our loyal students. Talking about Winston Skerritt. Paul, you know him, he's our brother, and his wife Ina. Winston, we missed out his birthday was on the 24th of June. 24th of January. Ina was on the 26th, and their anniversary is the 24th. Is on the no, Ina is on the 31st, and the anniversary is the 26th. So they get triple celebration, but they don't celebrate it one time. They celebrate one after the other. So we miss out on them, and I wish to apologize that I didn't mention them, but they are all loyal students and they're on their life all the time. And then Leroy Brummel, former uh, commissioner of police, called me, say, "Hey, you and Pastor really wicked, you know. You all made me several years younger. I'm not 61. I am 66. I'm a geriatric, and I am not suffering from any debility." And then I remember the word, because years ago, sometime in 1986 or 87, we had a whole set of cadet officers or persons who were cadet and became assistant superintendent. We send them to the army, they do a 1-year course, and then we bring them back. But the army don't teach them policing. And we discovered that they are very limited in terms of policing. So we run a 4-month training program for them. I was the coordinator, and then people like Brummel, Whitaker, and a host of others on the program. And Emma Brummel reported sick on the doctor right debility. And we wanted to know what is debility, so we had to do some research, and then we found out it means weakness. So he's saying he's not suffering from any debility, and that he's doing a lot of extracurriculum activity. So belated birthday to you, Leroy, and you are happy that you're now 66 and not 61 as we had mentioned. And I want to also make a plea to the Guyana Police Force. They have a whole set of cadet officers running about the place. You had one was in charge of the workshop, one in charge of the mountain branch, one in charge of the marine section elsewhere. A cadet is somebody who is training to become an officer. So they're putting them in officer position. They need to get them in classroom. They gotta also get them a program like the 4 months program that we had for Whitaker and others. that they need to have a proper training program for the cadet officers. The army don't teach them policing. They go and spend 1 year in the army and they come back and then they say they are cadet officers. You have to teach them policing. You have to teach them general duty policing. You have to teach them traffic. You have to teach them CID and other aspects of policing, so that later on when they start to get responsibility, they're able to perform well. But right now, you put them in position here. They are just training to become cadet officers. They're not in essence any of net officers. So I'm appealing, please run a proper training program for them cadets, and there's plenty of them. They get them all over the place for the cadet officers, so you can prepare them to take on responsibility later on in a career. Train them, train them, train them. Cadet must be on continuous training. Cadet mustn't be, say, you're in charge of workshop or in charge of marine or in charge of a mountain branch. Move them over the place. By the time you hear a cadet at Sparnam, you got to Springlands or you got to Kerku or you got to Itteringwang. That's how they get experience. That later on, when you put weight on the shoulder, they're able to stand up. So I'm saying, please, please, Guyana Police Force, train your cadets, because later on, they will be the senior officers of the force.
Well said, CC. Well said. You get a student to ask a question here. If I do recall the numbers and names of all those police, yeah. That is a gift I have. When years ago, when I was in the TSU, I see I came up doing training in the force. And when you have recruits, you know all the number and thing, because recruits in the police force are identified by the number and names. And when I was a young corporal, sergeant, even inspector, the TSU had what? In excess of 300 ranks. And I used to bet and win. Tell me a name, I will tell you the number. And tell you the number, I will tell you a name. When ranks fell in on the TSU veranda in those days or on the Jewel Square, I would there and make clipboard. And I don't have to ask anybody what is your number. So they look at you, number. Look at you, number. That is what, and I maintain, I remember a lot of those numbers. A lot of those numbers. So let me tell you about this cadet thing. When I went to the Staff College in the UK in 1994, my research was on the cadet scheme, right? The cadet scheme. So I have some knowledge about the cadet arrangement. And what Mr. Conway is saying is correct, because what they do now, you know, they have had several schemes. If you look in Standing Order 22 police ranks, it tell you about the cadet schemes. When the cadet started in the Guyana Police Force, it was external cadets. 1958, I think it was the 4th of August, Norma McLean, Cecil Skip Roberts, and Cecil Glasgow, the first 3 cadets. Then after that, you had some others like Lewis, Uab, Utston, and they came in. And it was a big debate. I have a paper on it, a big debate in the House of Assembly or whatever it was then, because people complained that the local officers, local policemen who came to the rank were being disenfranchised, were being discriminated against. You had highly qualified people. But what they did, they brought those first 3 that I called and the others straight out of QC. And then they went to do training and they became cadet officers. And they eventually changed and they started to accept people from within the force. People like Balam Ragabir, I think, was among the first. Former head of Special Branch, the Beetle. He was one of those people. Lloyd Barker, he was 55, 61. And then there was a Lowell, then Derek Town. So I understand the background. And in those days, this standing order is clear. People in the force, if they are identified, they are promoted to the rank of corporal. Then they are moved to various stations. The standing order spells out the station, large station, smaller station, where they learn policing. And then after a period of time, then they are made cadets. That happened up to 1978 when Bombury, Green, Rajkumar, and all those people were promoted cadet. That was the program. But then in 1980, they started to send police officers on the standard military officers course in the Guyana Defense Force. It wasn't bad then, because what happened, the people who they sent were people who knew policing. Winston Felix was one of the first. Donald Payson, he was a station sergeant. in that same batch you had Basil, 84, 87 Basil, you had Danny from Linden. Those were the four set of people in 1980. And then even after that, they were followed by subordinate officers in the police force with experience. Chivretan, Larry George, and all of those people. But then the thing took a downward turn. And I remember that. CC will remember that. It took a downward turn when the president then, Jack Dio, decided that he wants 50 cadets in the force. Green was the commissioner. And what did they do? They started to forget about rank and experience and that. They took constables out of the training school and they sent them to the GDF for 1 year. They completed successfully the standard military officer course. Nothing about policing is taught there. Then they come back in the force and they're officers with absolutely no policing knowledge. And I remember we had said there was a part of the program in the army where I can't remember what is his name, but they used to go on attachment someplace, and we still send them back to the force. And during that period, we will try to teach them some policing and so on. But nothing is done. So you have people now come back as officers, cadet officers. They know nothing about policing, nothing. They go to the army train them to command men and all this everything. And some of them come back with an attitude because they're officers. And the people who are junior to them, who are more knowledgeable, they don't want to listen to them. And you know, I discovered when I did my research in the UK, the United Kingdom, they have what? I think 43 different police forces, because these forces are county forces. They don't have a national force as such. County forces. And in my research, it was discovered that when you are identified in any one of those forces as a cadet, you don't jump rank. You join as a constable, you go through training, you're promoted, you're first promoted as a sergeant, then you think after that is to inspector, and you move along. You don't jump rank. What the cadet program guarantees you is that once you pass the requisite courses, you are going to get accelerated promotion. But then Guyana will come as a civilian, and then a year after, he's an officer, and he knows nothing about policing. And it is showing. It is showing. Because a man come there, I am RT, I'm an officer. And then what? They know nothing about policing. And then the sergeants at the station or the people who are more experienced and know policing, sometimes when they tell them things, they don't want to listen because they have this rank thing. I am senior, you shouldn't tell me what is going on. And then some of the wicked ones too, when they come with that type of attitude, mislead them. Mislead them. Check and see how many cadet officers in the force have lost the job and all this everything. Lots of them, because they don't have the background to be officer. They don't have the background to be officers. And therefore, that thing needs to be addressed. And I remember very well when Jagdio made that decision and come to tell Green. Many of us objected. But then the staff would think CC didn't training, recruit out to training school in a month service and perhaps even less, went to GDF, and then they come back successful, they are officers. Nothing they know about policing. And then as CC pointed out, you put together a program for some of them and try to teach them something, send them around to get the experience, and then you report on them. And then, because what happened then too, I remember after the 2-year period, if it was felt that they were not well conducted, they did not conduct themselves well, they were reverted to the rank of what that they had when they were appointed. Many of them to corporal or to constable, and they then leave. Some of them would leave, and some of them would stay on. So they need to adjust it. You can't get people coming through the system to get to senior ranks through the cadetships. As it currently stands, the officer little or no policing experience. Then bring him as a Conway, and then we're going to move on. Do you see anything else you want to say about this cadet thing?
So true, you know, and they need to really adjust it. You go in the army, 1 year you come back, and then you say you're cadets, and then they put them in the midstream of policing. Do a proper training for them. And then the training must be continuous. Cadet mustn't rest. Cadet must be on training all the time. Give them extra because later on they're going to climb rapidly to the top. They will be accelerated. They'll be. Therefore, you need to ensure that they are properly trained because they are youngsters, and based on being young, they're going to reach to the top of the police force. So I'm saying, and as you mentioned, they got to be properly trained, continuous training all the time, get exposure. work in different sections of the force, work in traffic, work in general duty, work in CID, all along the line. So that they be wrong, they'll be say, why not do like be the word wrong? Then they'll be proper experienced persons when they climb to the top.
Well said, well said. Somebody's saying here, Terence, Mike Gordon was one of them. Mike Gordon was never a cadet officer. Mike Gordon, whom I knew very well, was never a cadet officer. And then I see Leon saying that Henry Green worked with him as a corporal at number 51. Yeah, Henry and those guys, when they were made cadet in 1978, I think it was, they had been given proper exposure. They went to Henry been at Linden, Bombury, and all of those people were trained. They were well, they moved around and gained a lot of proper experience, how to write up cash book, how to command station, and all of that. So when they were eventually promoted to cadet officers, they knew what they were about, but not so any longer. Now let me move on. You know, cricket is in the air, and you know, those of you who watch the match with in India and England, India really taking advantage of England. And then there's one this morning they had the final match to beat up. There's a match going on now, a very interesting match with Pakistan and South Africa. And then very shortly, I think it's sometime next week, the Champions Trophy will start. So those of us who are cricket fans, we're into a treat with lots of cricket going on. But you know, before I go on, we gotta read one or two of my passages again, you know. And then Proverbs 26:27. Whoever digs a pit will fall into it. If someone rolls a stone, it will roll back on them. You know, they say, well, karma. Oh, people say ingratitude is worse than witchcraft. It's like God don't sleep, don't wear pajama. That is what happens, you know. Tears of innocent people are on you. And I'm saying all of this to come to tell you now about but before I go to that, let me remind you, this is Black History Month. Right? Black History Month, must always remember. And there's a complaint by ranks in the force. Before I go into the main complaint, you know, ranks work at Guy Expo. Ranks work at CPL, as the Caribbean Premier League. And then Guyana put up this what I call the global T20 cricket. Many ranks of the force work at those functions. Some people said they had to get there 4, 5 o'clock in the morning, work until 10, 11 o'clock in the night. And it is very, very concerning to know that those ranks have not been paid. Let me repeat that. People work their soul case out, as you would say. And I understand that the people, the agencies responsible, whether it's CPL, whoever responsible for the security of the Global Super League or Guy Expo, I understand they pay the money. They made the check out. It is alleged that they made the check out to the Commissioner of Police. It is further alleged that the check has not been handed over to the Police Finance Office for the ranks involved to get the payment. This is ridiculous. And I know this well because when it comes to cricket and so on, many of you will recall, when I was in the force, I used to be in charge of the security of the cricket, especially in the latter days. 2007 World Cup, I was the silver commander in charge of the stadium. 2010 Cricket World Cup, I was in charge again. Between 2011 and 2020, all the international crickets, I was the West Indies security officer, and I knew about the payment because on behalf of the board, I used to approve the payments. I know. In 2007 Cricket World Cup, we get cock. Because when ICC paid over the money, they paid over the money in 2 tranches. The first set of money was paid. I was responsible for making sure that the money was disbursed. And what I did out of the kindness of my heart, perhaps naivety, I decided that the private security people will get paid first. And whatever little left back, I'm going to make sure the police get the payment. And when the second tranche comes, then the police will get the full payment. When the second tranche came, Dr. Lonchan and them at the office of the president held on the money, 90-something thousand US. It was never, ever given to the police. So I said we get cocked. Some people say, oh, they work, they don't get paid and so on. So much so that when the T20 Cricket 2010 came around, again, I was in charge, and I decided that no money and paying to the government. The money was be paid directly to the police. And I made an arrangement with the ICC for the money to be paid directly to the police. And so therefore, one of the last things I did before I retired in 2010 was to ensure that all the police who paid got the extra duty money. Of course, there was some controversy. You know why? Let me tell you all why. Because in regards to the fact that many of them worked in 2007 and were not paid, they were reluctant to work in 2010 because they said they ain't going to get paid. Even though they were assured that we're going to put a system, I would put a system in place for them to get paid. Not for them to turn up. But I had implemented a proper checking system. So I knew all of those who turned up, how many hours they work, which venue they work, and so on. So as was to be expected now when the money started pay, many of them who did not work, they're turning up claiming that they work. But we had the record. We had the record. But every single person who worked, including the private security people, got the money in 2010. Everybody. So it is very, very troubling to know that these ranks work so hard. Guy Expo, big function. CPL, Caribbean Premier League. And then the Global Super League. I'm not sure who is responsible for paying them for the Caribbean CPL and the Global Super League. Because as I know it, the Caribbean Premier League is a private arrangement. The Guyana Warriors is owned by Bobby Ramroop. And I know, because I was in it from the inception in 2013, that the local owner was responsible for all overheads, including security, the local owner. So I don't know what it might have devolved to over the years. In terms of the Global Super League, I don't know, sponsored by Exxon, I don't know who's responsible for the payment. But what is being said is that the monies were paid, a check or checks were paid to the Commissioner of Police, but the ranks can't get the money yet. I mean, it is unreasonable. How do you motivate people? How do you get people to work? And then they can bully them because when cricket comes around, right now I think they get a regional 4-day, and when ranks decide they ain't gonna work and so on, they report sick, they are victimized. But it is time that y'all make sure they look and they pay the people them the money. The salary small. They're making sacrifice to come to work extra duty. And then you don't want to pay them. You don't want to pay them. Unconscionable, man. Pay the people, pay the policemen who came out and worked. So we bring in Mr. Conway for him to make his comment, and then we're going to move on. See, that thing about not paying the police or them not being paid after all these months, what are your views?
Total disgraceful. If the police work, they must get paid. And it's extra duty. It's extra duty. They say, no, that was a normal duty the police have to perform. There's extra duty. It's a business that is going on. And I'm surprised, that the money, as I say, I read it too, that the money paid, the check payable to the Commissioner of Police, and it's nothing and got to the police finance office, and the grants them and get paid. They must be paid. When they go up on the road and they broke people on, or they crack a few knuckles and collect the Granger, you want to put them in front of the court. You want to dismiss them. But when they work conscientiously, when they work hard, they must be paid. And I'm urging whoever is responsible, ensure that the people get their payment for work. And CPL done so long, high time that they get their money.
Yeah, students, we had the first troll. You say near Bob Dole, right away is a troll. You come and say, well, it's only now we speaking out. Well, now we speaking out. So, we done with it. We ain't got time with it. Come with facts, man. We have been speaking out for the longest while. If you recall, all the way back in 2003, I get trouble with Jack Dew and Ronald Gadras because of speaking out. So you come with this nonsense and tell people, oh, now you're speaking out. Bye-bye. This is not a place to you. This is a place of learning. This is a place of learning. So when they send out these strolls, we ain't got time with you. Go sit outside the classroom, not in the classroom. Done with you. Now, we mentioned CC not so long ago, Assistant Commissioner Simon, I think it was over the last weekend, that it was rumored that he was going to be sent on administrative leave because he is alleged to have passed on information to Rick Ford Bork in relation to the shooting at Maikoni, where the police shot and killed the man who was the server on Songline and another person who was trying to assist, shot and killed. And they say he was to be, well, there was a rumor, let me put it this way, that he was to be sent on administrative leave. Then the police came out orderly with a thing, said that is not true. That is not true. But what is instructive, I noted that the police corporate communication unit has recently republished Mr. Simon's qualification to say that he qualified, get a master's degree in 2021, and then they put out all the things and so on. And the question is why. One of the students made a comment this morning about within the hour about it, why they give out all the information, unnecessary information. But let me tell you this. When I read that, I looked into my crystal ball. And the crystal ball said they're setting up the wicket to transfer him perhaps to training, to say that he's qualified, and therefore they're going to want to send him a training. That is how they operate. The corporate communication, the corporate propaganda unit raise up an article, republish an article from 2021 about Simon, Assistant Commissioner Simon, right? From 2021, they now republish in the wake of what was being said of him being sent on administrative leave. I believe that they're setting up the wicket to remove him and to claim, well, because of his qualification and so on, they're putting him perhaps in training or somewhere else. Let's wait and see. CC, what are your views about that, my brother?
I like to borrow your crystal ball sometime, And I won't be surprised. I will not be surprised that they send him to training. But whatever it is, he's an excellent police. I remember when they had that big fiasco when the squad they send the SWAT to Essequibo and they shot that man and kill him in his bed. Bascom and people started to protest. They blocked the road and all kind of thing there. You know who they sent for make peace? They sent the same Simon. And Simon was able to talk to the people, to negotiate to them, to get them off the road. Excellent police, and he should be commanding a division, either the Region 6 or 4A. That's where he should be. That's where he should be doing the general policing duties. But as you said, I won't be surprised that here he gone to training, and they're going to say because of his qualifications, I remember he get an MBA, and not the MBA like what the like what would the conform squatter get. He get an MBA from a distinguished university. Yeah.
So I was saying, I put up the thing. It's not this one you get. You get a proper MBA, not Mr. Butcher's accomplice. You get a proper MBA. But let me say this. If you look at the current command structure of the police force, if you look at the command structure, there is what we call an anomaly. You have a deputy commissioner in the form of Simon McBean in charge of Region 4A. I can't recall ever having such a senior person there. And then what you have, special branch that requires the rank of a deputy commissioner. You have a superintendent, the triple jumper. So I believe they're setting up Simon for either training or special branch. They're not comfortable with their special branch because the man who they have there, the triple jumper, is unpicked by them. So he did on there, he's going to spy, he's trailing Brutus, and he's unpicked to be there and to give them the information. I say that without any fear of contradiction. You recall the story at the Ashmin building there at Field Street during the 2020 election, where they had a lot of disturbance there, where the vice president and the now president and some others were there, and people were saying the allegation was they were trying to break into the office of the chairman. The same Claudette Singh. Prem Narain was there, the same Prem Narain, inspector who was at the time stationed at West Demerara, and who on that day had been sent, he got to go to court somewhere in town or someplace. After court, he found himself at the Ashmin building, along with Jagdio and Irfan Ali and Arafat Kwaland and all that. The video is there. The video is there. I have a copy of the video, so he's the one that can sue. I have a copy. He found himself there, and this is alleged. It is alleged that he was part of the group trying to gain access into the chairman's office. So they want you there, they're going to keep you there. But you have a deputy commissioner in charge of A division. You have a superintendent, an unqualified superintendent. I think you got nothing behind the name apart from Triple Jumper, who is in charge of special branch. You got a highly qualified assistant commissioner in charge of one of the smaller divisions, Region 5. I'm talking about Simon. That is what is going on. You have a man at Region 6, Chief Prasad Bakas, who is alleged to have made his own certificates. That's the allegation. And he there, and many of them in these positions, they're shitting big. To put it very bluntly, they're shitting big. But that is what you have. The force is in disarray. The force is in disarray. And when you say it, they're vexed. Murupsuben and all them vexed. The extended squatter and all them vexed. But I will call it as it is. I will call it as it is. The force is in disarray. Look at the people who are in command of divisions and branches. And we're going to talk about the command of branches, and particularly the police finance office, again in a short while. I'm going to talk about it. Let me bring in Mr. Conway to see if he has anything to say for it, and then we're going to move on. CC, anything else to say about that?
And even getting back to Region 6, I have special interest. I'm a Bobishun. And it's alleged, or when they put up that recommendations for promotion, that bogus thing, they said the Region 6 got get a degree. That's what they say. You got a degree. Perhaps he got it from the University of Kanji. Maybe they come from, just like how people get University of Iflat. There's where university come from. University of Kanji.
And they get all of these unknown universities, and they get all sort of degree, MBA, and all this everything they get from unrecognized or unknown universities. Well, let me go into the thing I was starting to do a little preaching just now. Well, I tell y'all, Proverbs 26:27, whoever digs a pit will fall into it. If someone rolls a stone, it will roll back on them. I tell you all, old people say, ingratitude is worse than witchcraft. They say, karma is a bitch. God don't sleep. And all of those I'm saying, right? And you remember they say, do not touch the chosen people. This is Psalms, we will Chronicle 16:22 and Psalms 105:15. Do not touch my chosen people, and do not hurt my prophets. Don't you dare lay a hand on my anointed. Don't hurt the hair on the head of my prophets. Touch not my anointed ones. You know the story? You know the story from the Bible? All right. I say that to say now, it is said from reliable source that following the dismissal of Calvin Brutus, Assistant Commissioner, last Wednesday, the Police Office Commission dismissed him for disreputable behavior and all of that on Wednesday. And the Police Office Commission, the secretary in the letter that he wrote to the commissioner, he did say that they hope that the Brutus is made to hand in all the property, government property issued to him and so on. That is Wednesday. We haven't just solved it because he did say he's reported in the media to have said he wasn't solved with anything. But let me tell you as it is, from the time they sign off, say you're dismissed. You're dismissed. The service is just a formality, right? Because once they sign and say you're dismissed, the next thing, commissioner can be informed that you're dismissed. They should send the letter to you. But then it goes to the Ministry of Finance and all these people who were faced that you're taking off the payroll. Now, he remained in the police quarters. Remember the same police quarters that SWAT and them raid back in October? I think it was October the 18th, the night of October there. Then he went to court the next day. He's still been in the quarters. I understand. It's a karma is a bitch, I understand that the man who is said to be the process server, who is the process server? The man who's on tape saying that he was instructed by the commissioner to make sure that all the witnesses attend the tribal union and think that is a process server. What? It is alleged that a couple of days ago, Sunday, this thing sweet bad, y'all sit back and listen, I share this thing. Last Sunday, Brutus was made to leave the quarters. And how was he made to leave? I understand he was there ensconced in the quarters, and the electricians belonging to the police force were sent to disconnect the electricity. and the plumbers were sent to disconnect the water. So, Karma, Audrey, let me hear you laugh, girl. Karma, the Sunday, the police disconnect the water to that particular apartment, and they also disconnected the electricity, right? So he get knocked out. And then shortly after, he was seen putting the Georgie bundle. Hope you all know what is Georgie bundle. He was seen he packing Georgie bundle, put it in a car, and drove out of the compound. Bye, Felicia. Drove out of the compound. I know people told me that same man, Calvin Brutus, was very harsh on people who retired. They make the point to me, they told me that the quarters in the Mountain Branch compound, where a senior officer who had just retired lived, then the man had some health challenges. He ordered him out, and he put his mother-in-law in the house, the police house. That is the allegation that Brutus, and I can call the officer name, Keaton King Superintendent. When he retired, it is alleged that Brutus ordered him to vacate the quarters. Ordered him. And then when the man left the quarters, he put his mother-in-law in the same police quarters. Police quarters. You know, what the things there, Georgie, the garbage bag, what the song, Farmer Nappy. So if you don't want me to, you kind of cocaine the thing. So you know the song. So he got evicted. He got evicted, and more than that, I saw a somebody asking Mark Ramatar, the head of the corporate communication unit of the Ghana Police Force, the head of the propaganda unit, if it is true that Brutus and his driver George removed a black water tank from the quarters. So I want to know if, and there's a next charge in the making, simple larceny. The question was asked. I don't think it was answered, but the suggestion is that at some stage between then and now, Brutus and his driver, Sergeant George, well, Ian X, Brutus is X, because George is interdicted, I hope, and I'm not sure, interdicted, at least it should be, they removed some black water tank from the place. Now, if the black water tank is a police tank, that is simple larceny. Apostle steals, who without claim of right made in good faith, takes and carries away anything capable of being stolen, with intent at such time of taking, permanently to deprive the owner thereof. That is the definition for larceny. So if it is that Brutus and the driver carry away the police black water tank and pump, they say, tank and pump. Because let me tell you this, how the post operates. There is no way, let's assume that there was a black tank and a pump there. There is no way an officer, let's have a Brutus alone, you see there in the quarters, if you want a tank or you want pump, you will give some instructions and the police will buy tank and pump and put it in. You're not going to go in your own pocket. Even if for expediency, you went into your own pocket and you bought the tank and you bought the pump, you're going to get back, you're claim back your money. Even if. So once they move, that is the allegation, that they move the tank and they move the pump, I would expect to see some simple larceny charge if they don't return it. Simple larceny charge, right? So let me, then before I bring in Mr. Conway, according to the letter 2, Brutus is required to hand in all stuff, which is natural. Once you are dismissed, you got to hand in everything that was issued to you. So I want to know if they take away the government firearm that was issued to him. Have they taken away the firearm? Because, well, uniform, I guess he would have left the uniform and all these things there, get dismissed. Other items belonging to the police. Because you live in a police quarter, or quarters there. Everything in that quarters almost would have been to the police. The furniture, the appliances, all of those things will be government property. So when time to leave, that's why they said Georgie bundle. It's only a couple of civilian clothes. All the uniform and all them things is police thing. All is police. So let's see where that will go. As I said, calm is a bitch. And some people say you shouldn't laugh. You know, they say, when they just see don't laugh, Goody man. Boy, laughing. I am laughing. I'm rejoicing because what goes around comes around. What goes around comes around. Let me bring in Mr. Conway. Can't wear the baton sweet. CC, what are your views, my brother?
Well, and then I saw a written statement, when investigation was being done, where a lot of government property removed from the quartermaster store and otherwise our porches and gone to a house in South Rumvelt, which is occupied by the son of a top police officer. All these kind of things. There's so much a story coming up, so much a story circling about the place there. And I'm saying it can't be Brutus alone. It got to be others. It got to be others. Too much a story got to be others, not Brutus alone. But you asking me for singing, you ain't singing. Perhaps the guy named me Dolphus and said, sing, Dolphus, sing. Sing, Dolphus, sing.
Yeah, let me say this. In light of all that is going on, I alluded earlier about the police finance officer. I'm going to repeat it for emphasis. Students, y'all bear with me. Brutus is charged, among other things, for thieving $60 million from the police consumers co-op. Here what the charge says. I have a copy of the document here. It says the statement of offense, largely by public officer, contrary to Section 185 of the Criminal Offences Act, Chapter 801. The particulars of offense says Calvin Brutus, between Tuesday the 28th of November 2023 and Wednesday the 29th of November 2023, at the Guyana Police Force Headquarters, Ivlery, Kingston, Georgetown, in the Georgetown, Madisino District, County of Demerara, in the state of Guyana, being a public officer employed by the Guyana Police Force, stole the sum of $60 million Guyana currency belonging to the Guyana Police Consumers Co-op Society Limited. That's one of the charges. In other words, we said larceny by public officer, and then they say thief. They accuse him of thieving $60 million. Now, let me tell you all this. Sit back, share this live. This thing getting sweet. Share the live. Now, the fact that Brutus is charged, like anyone else, I think he was charged indictably. According to this thingy, this is what? Let me see. Yeah, it's information upon oath. This document you call information upon oath, which means that it's an indictable charge that was instituted. If it were a summary, it's going to be complaint without oath. But this is information upon oath. So the officer there would have sworn to the information in front of the magistrate. Now, once you swear to the information, I guess they get to the stage now where they want to apply the Administration of Justice Act, AJA, of 1978, which allows for indictable matters to be disposed of summarily. In other words, if it's indictable and it remains indictable, the magistrate will do a preliminary inquiry, not a trial, a preliminary inquiry to determine if a prima facie case has been made out against the accused person. If the magistrate so decides at the preliminary inquiry, the matter goes to the DPP, and the DPP indicts to stand trial the High Court. Now, if you're going to use the Administration of Justice Act, AJA, it means that the trial will no preliminary inquiry will go on. The magistrate is now empowered to try the case. Now, once that decision is taken, and I explained this before, prior to the Administration of Justice Act, if you were charged indictably, you have to make a decision whether you wanted the matter to conclude at the magistrate court or go to the judge and jury. The accused person had a say. But with the AJA, the accused person no longer has a say. Magistrate listens to submissions and so on and makes that decision. Now, once the decision is made for the matter to proceed summarily, you have what you call disclosure. Come on, y'all share today's teaching like every other day. You have disclosure. You know what disclosure means? That the prosecution has to provide the defense with all the evidence, all the statement, everything that they intend to use at the trial. They have to present that to the defense so they can prepare the case. Called disclosure. Now, my understanding is that disclosure was done. At least partial disclosure was done. And statements were given to the defense. So the statements were given to Brutus, liar, and them. Well, now they don't give it to the liar. The statements are given to you, the defendant, and then you got to give your liars and so on. The thing. I understand that some of the statements are very revealing, very revealing, very implicating other people. Let me tell you what one of the statements is said to our thing, right? It is alleged. We talk about the same $60 million that charged with us for thieving, you know. It is alleged that when this check was changed by the manager of the Police Consumers Co-op Society, the check for $16 million, it is alleged that she was accompanied by the personal assistant of the Commissioner of Police, some ASP Lal. He accompanied her to get this money changed, this check changed. It is further alleged that once the check was changed and they got this $60 million, this money was taken to the commissioner's office, where the commissioner and Brutus were, and the money was left there. That is the allegation. And you know, I say again that this thing could not have involved Brutus alone. So it is said that the money was taken there and the money was left there, taken to the commissioner's office, handed over to Ikin and Brutus. That is what is alleged. Lal, the PSC, took it. So how come them in charge? Well, at least Brutus is charged. So how come the commissioner and implicated this thing? How come? And let me see. And I understand this is disclosed in statements. The statements that are filed. This what I'm telling you, the allegations that you say are contained in statements which would have gone to the DPP. So how come, as we have been saying all along, there's no way that Brutus could have done this alone? And we're confining to this $60 million that they say he thief from the Police Consumers Co-op. This money was supposed to have been money to repair the building. The allegation is, based on what was carried in the media and the other thing, misconduct in public office, he instructed the inspector, the special inspector, change this check and give me the money. That is what is being alleged. The money was changed, the money was taken, but they're now saying it can been there, it can know about this thing, the commissioner. He knows about it. And I have suggested a long time now that there's no way Calvin Brutus by himself can thief $60 million and more. This is only one allegation from the police consumers. There's no way he could have thieved all the money from the welfare office, and others are not involved. Others are not involved. So you're telling me Brutus write this check himself? We get evidence that the 60 million check was encashed and the money handed to him. Why would that be done? Why? Why? Before I go on, there are other aspects. But before I go into that, let me bring in Mr. Conway. I want to dominate the batting, even though them might say a batting good and a scoring freely. But you got to take a single down again. I let the batsman at the end get little batting, less he gonna get frustrated and he lose form and so on. See, your turn.
Yeah, you know, I know about disclosure. And I saw part of the disclosure, 250 pages. Excuse me. I read. And here it is. According to the disclosure, the personal assistant of the commissioner of police and the female inspector went to the bank, collected it. Here we go again, put it in brown envelopes, go to the commissioner office, and there it was in the narrative, you know, the number one and the number two person of the force were there. We said all along the line, Brutus could not have done it himself. Others had to be involved. And then also we've been saying, Paul, is that Suku, they don't have the ability to do a proper investigation. The proper investigation, they also cover up, they also save people, and then they get the politically influenced DPP to go along with them. Lots and lots of people had to be involved. Now Brutus alone. And this one, the clear case now, collect the money, the personal assistant go with her, collect the money, carry it to commission office, and there it is. The two of them there waiting to collect the money. My God.
That is only the 60 million. I haven't seen all the statements in the disclosure, but that loan, Calvin, what you waiting for, man? Calvin, I know as they say that you're not a believer. You have told ranks that you don't believe in God, and therefore you're not gonna pray. And therefore, if you don't believe in God, I believe people it's useless people saying they're praying for you. But it's not about you now. It's about your family, your wife, who should get baby anytime now. Your unborn or recently born son, I don't know, or child. Your 2-year-old, the 2-year-old millionaire son. You got to think about them now. You did say at the beginning that you ain't going down alone. You did say that it's alleged that you said you were not going on alone. I believe now that you last the work, you see nobody and batting for you, Nobody and batting for you. You got 61 charges by yourself. They might now charge you again for thief in water tank and pump. So the numbers are adding up all the time, right? They put together a kangaroo court for dismiss you. So they're stacking everything against you. They put together kangaroo court, and within 2 weeks, that kangaroo court dismiss you. They give you the indignity, cutting off your light, cutting off your water. Make you got to pack up your jargy bundle and bail out. Now, who you covering for still, man? Why do you feel the need to cover for people when they are covering for you? I told you this program here, Speaking Out, is available, anytime you want. Just drop your line. And whether it's at the regular Monday or Wednesday time, or whether you want a special, we're going to arrange whatever time is convenient to you. We're going to arrange, come and let me hear what transpired. Because we know that you were not in this alone. We know. And therefore, you should not be going down alone. You should not be going down alone. And we ain't talking about you coming here, as I've been saying to people over and over in my thing. They want nobody tell lie on your behalf. Come and speak the truth. If you recognize what that is, come and speak the truth. And once you speak the truth, let the chips fall where they may. Because I maintain that there's no way Calvin Brutus by himself, as devious and as diabolical as they want to paint him, could have done all of this by himself. Could have. No way he could have done that. I have seen some of the statements in the disclosure implicating other people. In writing, this is cargage, thing what people write, implicating. All of this would have gone to the DPP. And the DPP decided that only Calvin Brutus must get charged. And here, let me read again what from the book Hijacking the New Building Society. Hijacking the New Building Society, right? Page 51. I want to read this again. This is what Bernard de Santos, to the Chancellor acting, he said, one of the matters which has been suspected by members of the criminal bar for some time now is that the acting director of public prosecutions, whose husband is a Muslim cleric, cannot divorce our religion from our professional duties. In the instant case, Mistress Ali Ak, prior to charges being instituted against my client, held a meeting at the headquarters of the CIOG, that is the Central Islamic Organization of Guyana, which was attended inter alia by her husband and a Muslim member of staff of the NBS, at which meeting the affairs of the NBS were discussed as they pertained to the loss of money, which later formed the basis of the charges. It is an open secret that Mrs. Aliak's husband has played a major role in the matter. That is Bernard de Santos and under Paul Cyril Clinton Conway. So this file, that and with all of these revelations about the involvement of others, would have gone to the DPP. Because they say, recommended charges. Initially it was 240, and then it went up. I think it's now at 261. Right? So with all of these things in the statement, that this money, you get statement that money was drawn and taken to the office of the commissioner and handed over to Ikin and Brutus. And you charge Brutus $60 million. You charge Brutus alone. And Butas, you're going to still stay quiet? You're going to still stay quiet, Butas? Or you're waiting for cut that record at some reputable record studio? Is that that is what you're waiting to do? And let me go on with the same thing, Further allegations that Mr. Conway alluded to a while ago, and I saw some of these statements. Allegation the police funds were used to purchase household items which were taken to a private residence in South and handed over to Ikin's son. That's the allegation. Allegation contained in a statement that the police funds were used to buy household items and taken to some house in South, that is South Rainville, and handed over to Ikin's son. That is what it is. That is the allegation. You want to tell me that Soku did not see it fit to investigate all of that? That police government money was being inappropriately used? And you tell me that Soku is capable of conducting a proper investigation? It's not. That is what Nandlal and Jagdio want to let people believe. They conduct an investigation to hang Butas, and then they pull together a tribal union to make sure that they dismiss him. So now he's a former assistant commissioner of police, right? It is also alleged. Let me tell you further before I bring in Mr. Conway. It is also alleged that a particular rank questioned the unlawful orders given by Brutus in relation to all what going on. One rank, it is alleged, questioned the order. They went to Ikin and complained about what is going on. And Ikin threatened the rank with transfer. That is contained in statement, That rank saw all of these illegal activities, suspicious, call them suspicious activities, decided that what the best thing to do is to go and make a complaint to the commissioner. He would have been acting at the time. And the rank was threatened with transfer. And that is why, coming back to Monday, we asked a question about the finance officer, who, according to the allegation, Butas bully to write this check to draw the check from the police welfare fund to pay for government property to some company owned or controlled or in which Butas has interest. And the finance officer write the check. And we asked the question, if you're a finance officer, do you not know that you cannot do that? It doesn't allow. The things say, and in the charge, the disciplinary charge, says a breach of the standing order, which I know it is. So what to the finance officer? Did he not know that that's a breach of the finance officer? Did he not bring this to Mr. Butas' attention? So you can't do that. The regulation does not allow. And if Butas continued to bully him, did he go to the commissioner and complain? Sir, Mr. Butas is asking me to do this. This is against the financial and other regulations. I can't do it. And if he did that, complain to the commissioner, what did the commissioner do? What did the commissioner do? This whole thing went there. So I'm saying it's either the finance officer has to be dealt with if he did not bring this to the commissioner's attention. And if he brought it to the commissioner's attention, then the commissioner is liable, culpable, and should be charged for either misconduct in public office or being a part and accessory to this crime committed by Butas. But instead of the man get promoted. And again, I say, be dealing with facts, Some people just jump out and believe you're getting personal. Personal is facts. I maintain that if the finance officer, as the police, the tribal union, the police service commission tribunal, what they call it, tribal union was set up, they said that Butas bully Bharat Prasad, the finance officer, superintendent, to draw checks, I think totaling $13 or $14 million from the police central welfare fund to pay for government property. And they're claiming that this thing was supplied or paid to his company or a company that he has interest in. Finance officer ought to know you can't do that. You have to be able to tell the police finance, the Butas, no, sir, this is not allowed, and I'm not doing it. All right, you're a little timid. You don't want to do that. So you don't want to confront Butas and tell Butas that this is unlawful, this is against regulations. All right. So one would have thought that the next thing to do is to ask an audience with the commissioner. They go to the police assistant, sir, police, please tell the commissioner I want to see him in an urgent matter. urgent matter, and you bring it to the commissioner's attention. And if you did so, what did he do? And then I'm sure the finance officer would have had other opportunities as well, because they have what they call the ELT, the executive leadership team. This is big fraud going on. And all right, you know what, you didn't get, let's assume you didn't get to bring it to the commissioner's attention. Did you raise it at the matter of the ELT? Comrade, look, if a proper investigation was done in this matter by Soku, a lot of people were there alongside Brutus. Not only the three persons, Brutus, his driver, and the sergeant from the quartermaster store. A lot of people would have been facing the court, a lot of people. But as we have said before, no proper investigation was done. None. They didn't get the appetite to do an investigation to take it to its logical conclusion. Have they ever questioned the commissioner with all of this? Have they questioned him in relation to all what's going on in the quartermaster store, the police finance office? Have they questioned the permanent secretary of the Ministry of Home Affairs, who is the accounting officer? All of these things, proper investigation, logical. And I told you all from very early, when Nandalal, the Attorney General, is alleged to have said to Brutus says in the document that he is going to cause the investigation to be expanded to investigate the people who Brutus claimed gave him gifts and monies and so on. Expanded. I said I don't call for no expansion. If you were doing a proper investigation, from the time Brutus mentioned that these people are the ones who gave him money, you got to go and investigate. Now he bringing statement from them. You have to contact them and you have to investigate to see what really going on. But none of that end though, and then they come. But Brutus, again, I say to you, I think you owe it to your little son, your unborn child, and perhaps even to your wife to clear your chest and to say what actually transpired. And we are inviting you. We have an open invitation to you to come on this program to bear your soul. CC, let me hear you on this matter again, man.
This thing is shattering, And my son were not in us. But Brutus couldn't do it alone. And things are revealing disclosures. Commissioner of Police, the PS Home Affairs, Ministry of Finance, all of you. And we always missing out. There's an audit section from the Auditor General, audit section. There are a couple of people downstairs there at police headquarters. What are they doing there? Audit section is downstairs there. What they're looking at? They're not looking at anything. Nobody picking up anything. This investigation gotta be more widespread. Too many persons involved in this thing. A gang of dishonest people about the place. And then poor Brutus, they're taking Brutus alone. Go for the others. Clear the deck. But no, they're protecting and they're protecting and they're protecting. Suku is not capable. They're capable of they're capable of covering up. That's what they're capable of, covering up. And then you can't get around because they're taking instructions from Carmichael Street. They're taking the instructions from Robert Walk. That even before they start the investigation, they don't know, they're told this must be the outcome. You go to investigation, this must be the outcome. And that's what's going on. And that's what went on all the time, Paul.
Yeah. Currently, I'll continue to share. Somebody asked a question they wanted the student. Asked who will question Ikin. Somebody asked who going to question Ikin. Ian asked the question. Say talking some strange things. Who is going to question Ikins or Ali or Jack Dew? Who questioned the Commissioner of Police in Trinidad? This is a recent matter. Who questioned the Commissioner of Police in Trinidad in relation to the allegation made against her? So if you got professional people, it's not an issue. The problem is that you don't have the level of professionalism that you should have. But questioning them is not no big issue. I am most certain up to now, no allegation was put to Brutus. He claimed that they put no allegation to you. So let me hear what's going to happen. Now let me move on. There is this issue going on now. You must have seen it. I think it's 94 the last, where there's an allegation now made against Asruddin Mohammed. Asruddin Mohammed is being alleged to have interfered. I know the level, because I looked at the thing last night and some things are not clear. Certain aspects of the allegation are not clear. Well, let me read what it has been said. This is news source. Gordon Mosley. I tell you how Gordon Mosley and Travis Chase are two of the more credible journalists in Guyana. So this thing, they say the interview with the critic has, first of all, critic has no credibility, absolutely none. No credibility. Well, here what the story said. Prominent businessman and philanthropist Asruddin Mohammed has completely denied claims of sexual abuse of a teenager and said he is open to a full investigation of the claims by local and international investigators. Right? It went on to say the claims first surfaced on Monday night in an interview of a young lady that was conducted by social media commentator Michael Rodriguez, known as Guyanese Critic, who is currently facing a multi-million-dollar lawsuit by Mr. Mohammed, his father, and their company. So here it is. They're pointing out that this man who conducted this interview Monday night with this girl, who making this allegation, the Mohammed, the Sui, he facing a multi-million-dollar by Asruddin's father and the company. The story goes on. In the interview, the young lady who said she's 17 years old claimed that she was allegedly sexually assaulted by the businessman during a visit to our indigenous community in December 2024. She told the Guyanese critics that she made no police report, no complaint to her family, and this was the first time that she was making her claims known. In the statement through his attorney today, Asruddin Mohammed refuted the allegation and claims. The businessman and his team, Mohammed, said they are willing to submit themselves to any polygraph test administered by competent individuals, including foreign security agencies. According to the statement, Team Mohammed and Mr. Asruddin Mohammed pledged their support to all victims of sexual assault, sexual abuse, and exploitation. They said they remain disposed to assisting victims of sexual abuse and condemn any form of sexual abuse or sexual exploitation, especially of young girls and the vulnerable. The Tashau from the village named in the allegation by the teenager has also come out with a statement indicating that he knows of no such incident taking place in the community and does not believe the young lady in the interview is even from the community. He said whenever Mr. Mohammed and his team visit the village, they would offer assistance to the resident and leave. Meanwhile, in a separate statement, the sister of Asruddin Mohammed said she believes the claims are politically motivated and made it clear that rape is not a joke and should never be used to score political points. In her statement, she said that what began as dirty politics has now descended into vile, unforgivable act, accusing an innocent man of rape through paid fabrication and manufactured lies. She said she believes the, quote, politically motivated, end of quote, allegations are intended to damage our brother's reputation and the reputation of the family. While not throwing his hat into the political ring for this year's election, Asruddin Mohammed has been hinting at a possible run for political office. Just recently, he called out the government over its slow distribution of the cash grant for citizens. One day after he made a statement, a Facebook page which carries the name Guyana Daily News falsely announced that the businessman would be sharing 100,000 Guyana dollars each to the first 1,000 persons to arrive at his business place. Scores of persons turned up at the business place the following morning, only to learn that they had been duped by a fake report. The businessman, his father, his team, Mohammed Group, and their businesses was sanctioned by the U.S. government last year over allegations of under-declaration of gold exports, and avoiding payment of millions of dollars taxes. Now, that is what the gist of the story. But when you look at the tape, there are so many inconsistencies. And when you look at social media and look at the comments, I have never seen the avalanche like that of people who calling out the person, the interviewer, and this girl. Everybody, 99% of the people perhaps say is lie, and they're trying to smear and all that. Let me bring in Mr. Conway, and then I'm going to talk some more about the same matter. CC, your views. I'm sure you would have read it.
Yeah, I read it. And for me, this thing got political implications. Remember, as the Dean father at the last regional and general regional election, he was on the PPP slate. I think he won a seat somewhere on the East Bank there into politics. As the Dean, he hasn't come out playing, but he been angling to choose out in the political arena. And he's been very influential in the Amerindian areas. And without any doubt, the Amerindians are the swing votes. Jump high, jump low. The Amerindians are the swing votes. They're going to decide. The PPP gets stronghold, the PNC gets stronghold, but the Amerindians are the swing votes. And how you treat them, that's how they will decide to vote. But I listened to the thing with critic there, and it's confusing. There's nothing clear. There's nothing think of any sexual offense committed. Even so, rape. She knows who. She ain't complained to anybody. It's mind-boggling that all this thing happened to her, and she can't identify anybody as the day was wrong. The thing isn't clear now. The interview with critic there, and I didn't dictate anything of sexual offense there, of any sexual offense. Here's poem there, all over shit. Where's that? I didn't see nothing but I read anything about penetration. If you're gonna talk rape is forceful, unlawful. Rape is forceful, unlawful carnal knowledge, where you force people, you threaten them by fraud, unlawfully didn't consent, and carnal knowledge is talked about penetration. I didn't hear anything about penetration. And here's what the Sexual Offences Act 2010 says about penetration. And I want to read it. Penetration means however slight and for however short a time of any part of a person's body or of any object into the vagina or anus of another person, and any contact, however slight and for however short a period between the mouth of one person and the genitals and the anus of another person, including but not limited to sexual intercourse, cunnilingus, folitio, and, and anal intercourse, and female to female genital contact. And one, where the penetration by the penis, the emission of seminal fluid is not necessary to prove the penetration. Penetration is a continued act from entry to withdrawal. So there's nothing there for sure that there's anything about rape there. Nothing at all. So I know what relationship talking about. And I remember the Daram case, where according to the victim, he come on her or he break on her, and then break two pot spoon of sperms. Perhaps this must be whole whosoever commit the effect must the whole bucket of sperms must have been that gone all over. The thing ain't meshing up. It ain't meshing up at all. And I see no criminal offense, no sexual offense established there? None whatsoever.
Now, well said. Now, let me understand this to the benefit of the students. Mr. Conway just read aspects of the Sexual Offences Act. Now, the Sexual Offences Act that he just read from makes a distinction between rape and sexual assault. So, but they conflate the two. When you hear sexual assault, we think it's rape. Not necessarily, not rape. Rape is rape. Sexual assault is touching and all these type of things. So sometimes they talk about touching, then you hear with the same case, they talk about rape. Right? But let me say this, because people, some questions are to be asked. This is a 17-year-old, according to what she claims with Critic. She's entertained by herself. A 17-year-old entertained by herself to make this 10 minutes or so recording. She's not accompanied by any senior person. And let me understand, the law, Same Sexual Offences Act, age of consent in Guyana is from 16. Let me understand it clearly. Age of consent is from 16. So she has reached the age of consent. But listening to her story, she went there with others. Nobody else named and called. She went there with others. She claimed that Azruddin Mohammed was in company with others, but they're calling nobody, no other name, as far as I saw there was mentioned. Nothing was mentioned. No other name, but Azruddin Mohammed name was mentioned. Then she went on to say that this thing happened in December. She was certain about that December. The Tishau, the head of the village, the chief of the village, saying that, look, Azruddin was last there in October last year. Then people are telling us, people are reminding us that the Ministry of Education, because they say he was there to distribute things to school, and people on social media are saying that the Ministry of Education, Priya Manik Chan, the Minister of Education, banned Mohammed from going to schools in the country. He was banned from making distributions to school in the country. So, inconsistency right away. She claimed at one stage that they were given beverages. She was made to say that the beverages might have been laced because she admitted that Mohammed don't drink. I know she know that, but Mohammed don't use alcohol and pure alcohol, but like they put something in the drink. That's what she claiming. And then this beverage turned out to be wine, non-alcoholic wine. There are so many inconsistencies in that story. So many inconsistencies. Look like a clear job. Clear job. And then, as somebody pointed out, she said in the statement, she never made any report to the police. This thing happened in since December. She made no report to the police. She didn't even tell her parents. She told no one. So how did she get to make contact with the Guyanese critic? Who introduced her to the critic? Who told her she should go? And then critic made the point that she would have gone to all the other entities, paid entities as he put it. In other words, he's claiming all the others are being paid and they didn't take the story. So there's how she reached to E. She reached to E. That story there. That story there. But you listen to it, you hear it. You know right away it's a smear job. That's the only impression you can get. It's a smear job. And here to crown it off, he tells you she must go and make a report to Human Services or Children's Services. She must make a report to the police. And then the next day they carry something to say that this girl, being so afraid, has left the jurisdiction. So I know they left the country, a 17-year-old, you know. And this reminds me of the 17-year-old that Dharamlal was alleged to have raped and buggered, where the DPP, the Director of Public Prosecutions, is alleged to have stated to the police that the girl decided that it is in our best interest not to pursue a 16-year-old. That's what they claim, decided that it was not in our best interest to pursue the matter. So you have a 17-year-old now, can decide, well, I'm going to report to the police. Having gone on social media and made such a damning allegation, this person now disappear. This person disappear from off the scene. Wickedness. Wickedness. But what's tomorrow? And let me say this before I go to tomorrow. You would have noted in recent times, Guyana Daily News, which is a propaganda arm of the PDP, because they say Is the PVP and the sheriff own guy and they use that is the allegation that is them on it. They come out, they're attacking Nigel Hughes over land. They're attacking Terence Campbell. They're attacking Glenn Lal. All the people who seems to be in opposition to the government and exposing the government corruption, they're attacking them. They're attacking. They attack Nigel Hughes. They claim, Jagdio claim that he gets some 75-acre land. Imagine you comparing 75-acre land in somewhere up there, Sikebo River, with land along Heroes Highway that the Central Housing and Planning Authority give to this doctor from New York. And the same doctor, it is alleged, sell some property to Sherwin Graves, who was the CEO of Central Housing and Planning, for $925,000 US. And according to the thing, he ain't get no mortgage. He ain't get no mortgage, but he can buy that property. And also allegation that he has other property in the US. He ain't talking about that. He comparing that. And the same thing, if you look on the thing, now in this piece of land at Heroes Highway, Ogle, all over this place, people get land. All over. But you ain't hearing nothing. Jagdio can't talk much about that. He ain't telling you that the Pradoville 2 place where he lives, that's Parndam, I think is the correct address. He had a house at Ogle, Pradoville 1. It is alleged that he sold that in violation to the terms of the land agreement, because you know when you get land from government, it is stipulated that you got to occupy it for a period of time before you can sell. And the allegation is long before the end of that period, he sell. The government moved the transmission station from Sparnam. The Guyana Broadcasting Corporation, I think it was transmission station, moved and developed that land. And Jagdio get how many acres, I'm not sure, for Billy Mansion. He ain't nothing wrong with that. But a man who gets 75-acre jungle land somewhere along someplace, and Mr. Hughes came out and he made it clear that, yeah, and the land does not even, he even get the lease, they're taking the money for the land. They are not, the renewal of the lease or something, the government decide, or the agency decide they were not doing that. Right? He get an extensive explanation. Extensive explanation. In the case, they're attacking Terence Campbell. Terence Campbell wrote to the U.S. and tell them they should investigate some land arrangement. Suddenly, Terence Campbell is accused of threatening Amir Hamad, the same man who is alleged, or a person with the same name, who is said to have given Akin $8.5 million for Buta's wedding. Threatening. And the threatening for charge Campbell because of that. Glenn Lal, that outspoken critic, he talking about the island gas industry. Jagdio, it is alleged on Thursday, I didn't see it, so I say it got to be alleged. Set out Glenn Lal, called Glenn Lal a murderer, or he murdered somebody. A man who sat in the office of the president during the time where hundreds of Guyanese, especially black Guyanese, were killed. A man who sat in that office when his own minister, Sadio Sal, was killed. A man who sat in that office when journalist Waddle was assassinated and one of his ministers was accused of being complicit in that murder. That is the man who can sit down there on Thursday and talk about and call Glenn Lal and all them people murderer. You think these people real? But they know they do that because some people that believe have shallow memory. I ain't got no shallow memory. I get a little elephant in me. I can come out and I can talk about these things. Yeah, share the life, man. Share. The numbers going up. Numbers going up. Continue to share it. We ain't done. We get a whole 15 or so minutes more. We have finished. Let me bring in Mr. Conway to talk about that, and then we're going to move on again with other aspects of this same matter. CC, your update.
Yeah, and I listened to Jagdio, and the man who presided is president with over 1,000 something black people who were killed. I've been in the police force, so I know. And accusing Glenn Lally Kali a murderer, I hear him say he's a murderer. He murdered somebody. And jumping on jump in on that you use for a piece, couple acres of swamp land, underdeveloped land. You know, this whole thing, is you cannot find word to describe the behavior of them. Can't find word to describe, and they'll continue and will continue every Thursday and another time to just talk a whole bundle of trash, and people will believe it. Therefore, others have got to counter it. Have got to counter it. But let me move on with other things.
No, man, I get other things to talk about. The same thing. You say you don't find word. The word that I find is the word that he used. It is reprehensible. It is
Yeah,
reprehensible.
yeah, that's
Right?
an appropriate word.
Right. Now let me say this. You have some other matters of interest you're gonna talk about. Let me remind them. The same CEO of the Central Housing and Planning, Chauvin Graves, resigned suddenly. Jagdio ain't gonna say much about that. You have Ed Ahmad, convicted fraudster in the US. Is said to have acquired land. Is said to be involved in gold smuggling. Jagdio ain't gonna tell you much about that. Right? Akin, apart from the fact when he say Akin act of collecting $8.5 million is reprehensible, that done. That gone. There's water under the bridge. You ain't gonna hear anything about that. You have the allegation about Minister Susan Rodriguez. How she get gas station and she get too much thing. Those are all allegations. Jack, you ain't gonna talk about that. Recent allegation, you would have seen two persons on Travis Shares giving an interview, making allegations against Deodat Indar, the Minister of Public Works, that he owns a company, Western Logistics, and if you talk about how they were treated, dismissed, then they weaponized the police, that is the allegation, to put up wanted bulletin for these two men claiming fraud and claiming that they leak information. Yeah, look at the interview. Travis Chase had the interview there. Jack, you ain't going to talk about those things. Those reprehensible things he's not going to talk about. But he's signaling out against people who he view as the political rivals or people who can make a significant difference in the political landscape. He's signaling out them for tarnish them. Jaggi of all people. A man whose wife accused him of violence and domestic abuse. That's the man. A man who is accused. Let me show you all early, man. Let me show you all. I worked up this morning. Let me show you all. The man who allegation by Sue Jerong in the Vice News thing that he collects $500,000 from Chinese businessmen to facilitate business with them. That is the allegation that is with no investigation, none. Let me show you all, just in case you all forget.
Sit there and fabricate that. Unless you say who the person is, I can't comment on anonymous people.
Okay, well, let's talk about specific individuals. What is your relationship with Mr. Su Jurong?
Su? Oh, Su? My relationship? Nothing. He's a tenant in my place, yeah.
And he's a good friend of yours?
Yes, he is a friend of ours.
He claims
The first time you hear the word relationship, Sue, Sue. That is the man who sits there on Thursdays and try to denigrate every single person. A man who has been accused of corruption. No investigation, none whatsoever. And let me say, as I said, that Darmlal thing, critic and none about the interview, no victim, none of them. And talking about corruption, I ain't got time to go into it fully this morning, but let me just whet your appetite for the next show. Yesterday, Tuesday. Hold on, let me find it. Yeah, yesterday, Tuesday. Transparency International gave their report, the annual report for corruption of 2024 last year. And not surprisingly, Guyana scored 39, which is, in other words, Guyana scored being very corrupt. Dennis Shabal carried this story this morning, and I went online, Transparency International. You can go to the particular country. You can see what they're saying. I ain't got time to go into any great detail this morning, but it is there. Corruption. They got to 39, and that means that they go down, the country they release, they are fallen one place. Not they shouldn't say we, Guyana, are fallen one place on the corruption ladder. Of 180 countries, from north right up to 180, right? 0 being the lowest, Guyana there at 39. They say we were better. We were at one place better in 2023, and we have fallen one place down the ladder in 2024. Comrade, and we know, look tomorrow or shortly after, the smoky one, right? The one that the tobacco that the Soldier General warned about, and come out with some statement to criticize or to say how they get the thing. Well, I want you to read it because the people told you about the methodology and all these things they use. They don't depend on any local people and local organization. They have their methodology of arriving at all of this. But the corruption is rampant, and we all know it. We all know the corruption is rampant. And let me I gotta play this thing again, this corruption thing. Let me play it so you could understand how dangerous corruption is. I want you all to see it again. And then when you see this, then maybe you read the Dennis Shribal or go to the Google Transparency International, as I did this morning. You're going to see the report on Guyana. But let me play this 4-minute tape on corruption.
Corruption is a vile disease that sucks and drains the health out of something good. Corruption in society is an evil moral infection that keeps community in a state of perpetual sickness. Corruption is a moral virus. It's so potent it leaves its host sick, lethargic, and unable to realize and accomplish all that a well person can. Where corruption thrives, poverty and not prosperity thrives. Wealth is grabbed into the greedy, grubby hands of those who get fat on the toil and labor of good people. Corruption benefits, only temporarily, those who participate in it. Everyone else is a victim of the theft, the deceit, the dishonesty, and the lies that corruption feeds on. You need to know that a corrupt person is stealing from you. Corruption is filthy work and despicable acts of treachery done under the table and behind closed doors. Corruption is a disgusting shame. Corruption keeps a nation back from true development and from progress. Wise investors steer clear of a corrupt environment. They would rather put their resources into a place where the playing field of opportunity is equal for all and not bent towards feeding the financial lust of corrupt, lying, cheating, thieving politicians and government officials. How many wonderful development projects have been lost because the investors didn't want to do business in a swamp of evil? When those great projects go to another nation or to some other place, we all lose. Believe me when I tell you that corruption steals from you, it steals from all of us. Corruption plunders the nation's wealth. Corruption people compromise on truth, equity, and fairness, choosing instead to feed off the short-term benefits of crookedness, exploitation, and financial perversion. Corruption is not just a personal matter. It's a culture. It's a way of life, not just for individual people, but for companies, communities, governments, and nations. Corrupt nations, hiding behind large companies, will seek to invest in other weak nations in order to take over the assets of the nation that they've invested into. They will provide financial loans to a nation for the much needed infrastructure, and they will do it with assets that they provide. They will sign contracts by lining the pockets of rotten government officials who participate in this kind of corruption and are then held hostage by their own deceit and greed. Corruption is nothing less than a form of theft and national robbery. A corrupt person steals from everyone in society. We all lose when corruption is rampant. Those who participate in corruption have chosen evil over good, lies over truth, and personal gain over well-being of all. To be corrupt means to be rotten. When meat is corrupt, it's rotten, and it stinks. Rotten meat can't be eaten. When a person is corrupt, he's rotten and unfit for a place in the community. A corrupt person should be jailed in order to protect society from the vile deeds of the corrupt person. Government should be protecting us from the foul results of corruption instead of being the proponents and participants in corruption. When corruption is systemic, when it's a culture and a way of life, when corruption thrives, it destroys the health of the community and nation. Now let me tell you something. Defeating corruption is a very difficult thing. The love of money is the root of all evil, the Bible says. People who love money will do almost anything to get it. Those who choose to stand up against corruption, you need to know that we're going to be involved in a war. We will be threatened, vilified, intimidated, marginalized, and ridiculed. These kind of people who stand up against corruption will often feel alone, as if they are the problem instead of the solution. Corruption can only be defeated when enough people have had enough and decide to do something about it.
That is what corruption is. That is what corruption is, and that is why all of us, law-abiding and decent people, must stand up and talk out about corruption. All of us. And wherever it occurs, whether it's at the government level, whichever level it is. You know, they're going to come out, they're going to set out the shows to say that they're going to tell me and Conway that we were corrupt, so we shouldn't talk about corruption. They're going to send the shows to say that. But the records will show different. The records are what we're going to stand for. Folks, y'all share the live. And while you're sharing the live, as we wind up, let me remind you to, first of all, let me thank all of those who have been making contribution to the upkeep of this program. We very, very much appreciate what you have been doing. And therefore, we encourage you to continue to support. Those of you who can afford to give us a little top up, as we say, please do so. The numbers are there, Zelle and Cash App, 718-308-7179. And then we have our MMG number, 613-8856. We're going to come and we're going to bring you the information. They don't want to hear it. They don't want to hear the truth. Corruption is rampant in the place. Listen to those two guys and the interview with Travis Chase. They talk about corruption and the bullying and the weaponizing of the police force. So that when people come out and they talk, the allegation is that these ministers will call the police go and arrest them. But I said the people arrest them on some allegation of fraud. And they have to spend 72 hours in the lockup. No communication. They denied them phone call. They couldn't communicate with their relatives. They kept them in the lockup for 72 hours, and then they released them on bail. These things cannot be fair. It cannot be fair. And that is why people continue to be against the police force. Because people recognize what the police force has become, a tool of the current government. And I know they're going to jump and say, well, government used to always police. Again, we talk about degrees, you know. And no sane or rational person will deny that the police now is being weaponized more than any other time in the history of Guyana. Nobody can deny that. The records are there. The records are there to show. And who they come? Look, cybercrime. You come and you talk, cybercrime. Who are the people? Look to see who are the people who have been charged with cybercrime. And I say, if you want to bring cybercrime charges, tomorrow at 2 o'clock, listen to the Tanti Moral. Listen to Tanti Moral tomorrow. You're going to see much cybercrime in the community, but nothing wrong with it. And it brings me to the point before bringing Mr. Conway, where GHK Lal, I have to continue to read it. He says, what we have today is not a government, but a gang of gangsters. For the most part, what guides are for leaders today are nothing but out-of-control lunatics, pathological liars, unreconstructed racists, and political sadists. When you want to hear about pathological liars, listen tomorrow. Listen tomorrow. You're going to hear pathological liars. They sit there and they lie. Congenital liars. That is what's going on. And that is why I say to you, continue to support Speaking Out, because we are coming here and we are bringing you the truth. And we always say, don't take what we say for granted. When we tell you something, we give you the reference if it's the law. We tell you of date, place, time, publication. You can go and research yourself. We said don't be intellectually lazy. Go and check it out for yourself. Let me bring Mr. Conway here for his closing. CC, your closing remarks, my brother.
I remember when Dr. Jagan was in the opposition, you know, he used to urge people not to join the police force and the public service, particularly the police force. And he used to say that the police force is an oppressive arm of the state. Dead, he gone long now. But the party that he formed is in power, his government. And they're doing even worse than when Dr. Jagan was in the opposition. They're weaponizing the Guyana police force. They're Indianizing the commands of the Guyana police force. Doing all sorts of things in the Guyana police force. It's worse now than when Jagan was in the leader of the opposition. And I missed out last week, but I continue to make my call for those Amerindian police, those police who graduated from the college in Barbados, who perform excellently during Christmas policing at New Amsterdam, Rosal, and elsewhere. Those police had to buy their own boots to wear, and they bought it from a police corporal. I hope that before Republic, before March money, that they will get back their money, they will be refunded their money, and the corporal will be condignly dealt with, and also the senior officer who is fronting for. So I think most of them gone back to Region 9, but the offense is still there. They have to buy boots to wear. They have to pay $7,000 each for the boots that they're wearing from a police corporal station at Eve-Leary. I hope that they get a matrimony gift and they'll be refunded their money. And condemned action will be taken against that corporal and the senior officer who is fronting for.
Well, you know, as we have seen, as we have said before, condemned action is not taken against certain people. In this thing, Brutus is singled out. And again, no sympathy for Brutus. But given what we have seen, the statements that were disclosed, some of the statements that were disclosed clearly show that Brutus is not the only criminal in all of this. Yet still he's the only person charged, right? And you got to wonder why. Brutus is the only person charged when there's evidence to suggest that others were involved, at least with that $60 million from the police consumers co-op, where the check was cashed and the money put in brown envelope. The allegation is that the personal assistant for the commissioner, ASP Lal, accompanied the manager to make to cash the check, and the money was taken to the commissioner's office. That's the allegation, and it over to Brutus and Ikin. That's the allegation, contained in statements that were disclosed in this ongoing saga with Brutus. So, Calvin, bye-bye. Hope you decide, since I show you on the bus, you did say in a release that you were not going to be the poster boy for corruption. And I don't think you should be. You should come out and let me know all the corruption. Because we know it's not you alone, you know. We know. We know it is not you alone. It could not have been you alone. We know that. So it's for you to come out now and let me know. If you want to come out and speaking out, the platform is here for you. You may choose to come out anywhere else. I warn you, don't go to critic, because you ain't got no credibility. Right? He has absolutely no credibility. I got people that can believe you. So you are, well, a liar. You're a sensible person. You're a former senior, or you're a former assistant commissioner, and you are to, I think it's a time you cut your record and you let the Guyanese public and the international community know exactly what transpired, and they're trying to scapegoat you. Folks, we have had a very lively morning, I thank you for your attendance. Oh, we had record numbers in the schoolyard. Well, not necessarily the highest numbers, but great numbers after a long time, both in the schoolyard and in the class. I hope it was worth your while. And that's what we try to do. Come bring you information so you aren't wasting time. And I say again, remember to tell people this program is immediately we finish your live. It's on YouTube for you to go and to look at. So if you miss a part, or if you want to see back a part, go and see it. Somebody told me to play the therapy. I did so earlier. We got to therapy, not at the end, but we got it a little earlier, and we're gonna come. I want to warn all of us to be extremely safe. The roads in Ghana are dangerous. We know that. Extremely dangerous. I traveled along the East Bank Road recently, and I was surprised at the deterioration. I guess it's all them big truck and so on were running on there. The road is a lot of sun and a lot of waves and so on, and that is why you have to be very careful when you drive. And then we also have in Ghana, I don't know if you know, but there is also a terrible flu going around. Terrible influenza. A lot of people have been taken down by this terrible flu. Because I even read yesterday where the Ministry of Health is talking now about flu vaccination and all that. Come on, they got to be safe. Wear your mask. Take all the protection to make sure that you are not a victim of these diseases and other stuff that is going on in Guyana. So until we meet again, last week, Wednesday when we met, we had planned to come back on Monday. But then, they dismissed again Wednesday afternoon. So we had a special on Thursday. As it is now, we are scheduled to come again next Monday. And Monday is the 17th. And you don't know what's going to happen between now and then. We promise you that once we have those breaking news, we are going to come and we are going to bring it to you, dissect and tell you what's going on. So God spare life. We're going to come again, schedule on Monday. But as I said, if something comes up, we might come out even earlier. So until then, I did say, I made a mistake. I said, it can get dismissed. No, it can't get dismissed. At least not yet. It's Brutus, Brutus was dismissed. Former Assistant Commissioner Brutus. I was corrected by a student. Thank you very much. We make these slips sometime. Right, Cherry, not Aiken Brutus. They say, maybe this crystal ball will get, maybe it's seen certain things. But it was a slip of the tongue. All we know is Brutus was dismissed by the Police Service Commission on the recommendation of the Tribal Union. He was dismissed last Wednesday. He dismissed, so he's no longer a police. And then we understand that on last Sunday, he was evicted. I shouldn't say that. He was forced to leave. He was forced to leave the police quarter in the compound, the same compound that they raided. He was forced to leave on Monday because they cut off the electricity and they cut off the water. So, folks, stay well until we reach again. Have a good week. Bye.